I kissed my son goodnight. His baby monitor hummed beside me. My wife was in our bedroom, alone, I thought. Then I heard her whisper a name. Not mine. My brother's. The baby monitor hummed on the nightstand beside me, a soft crackle of static breaking through the silence. My son had just fallen asleep, chest rising and falling in the dim blue glow of his nightlight. It was the only peace I'd felt that day. I lingered there a moment longer than I needed to, watching him the way fathers do when they want to remember what they're fighting for. Then I heard it. A sound that didn't belong to the monitor. Faint. Wet. Repeated. A name. Not mine. Eli. She whispered it like it meant everything. Like it had weight. Intimacy. History. I froze. My ears burned. My body didn't move, but my mind sprinted into the wall. Eli. My brother. I walked out of my son's room with a stillness I didn't recognize. No sound, no rush. Just slow calculation. The hallway was dark, carpeted, the way she liked it. I passed the family photos she insisted we frame in walnut, our wedding portrait, the one of us with my mother at the lake, Eli's college graduation where he stood next to me, grinning like he hadn't just failed out of his second program. The door to our bedroom was cracked. The air was different, humid, sour. I could smell her perfume, the same one she wore on our anniversary last year. Something light, she'd said. Something you remember me by. I remember. I didn't walk in. I didn't need to. I just stood there, invisible, listening to her give herself away in pieces. Her breath, quick. Her voice, warped into something I hadn't heard in years. My name hadn't been said like that in a long time. I realized she had kept that voice, saved it for someone else. For Eli. I didn't need to see. I had enough. Enough to know the shape of betrayal. Enough to know the weight of it. I backed away, step by careful step, like I was leaving a crime scene I wasn't supposed to survive. I didn't cry. I didn't shake. I just walked back to my son's room, sat in the chair beside his crib, and watched him breathe. That night, I didn't sleep. That night, I started taking notes. Her name is Mara. 32. Elementary school teacher. Loves Instagram. Thinks journaling is therapy. She's been my wife for 6 years, my partner for 10. We met in college, freshman orientation. She was helping organize the welcome event, I was just trying to find the cafeteria. We talked for 4 hours that first night. About nothing and everything. Music, childhood, our shared hatred for olives. It felt like a movie. Turns out, it was. Eli is my younger brother. By 4 years. Charming in a way that's always been reckless. The kind of guy who shows up late to Christmas with a black eye and a new girl on his arm. He's never held a job longer than 9 months, never lived in the same apartment for more than a year. But he's got that thing some people mistake for charisma, just enough vulnerability to distract you from the damage. I used to cover for him. I used to be proud of him. Now he was in my house, in my bed, with my wife. And all I could do was listen. I didn't confront her. Not that night. Not the next day. I didn't give her a chance to lie. I needed to know how deep it went. How long it had been going on. What else she was willing to burn. So I did what she never expected, I became quiet. Still. Observant. Mara thought I was distant because of work. That I was stressed, or sad, or slipping into some male fog of middle-age discontent. She didn't ask questions. She didn't offer anything. And that's when I knew. She wasn't sorry. She was comfortable. That was worse. She moaned my brother's name while I put our son to sleep. And now, I was going to return the favor. But not with noise. With silence. With precision. Mara started humming in the mornings again. That was the first thing I noticed. She hadn't done it in years, not since before the pregnancy, not since before the quiet fights in the kitchen about nothing that meant everything. I watched her stir cream into her coffee like she was in a commercial, swaying her hips slightly to whatever tune played only in her head. It was the hum of someone who felt free. Unwatched. She didn't know I'd heard her that night. She didn't know I'd stood outside the bedroom door, hearing my brother's name fall from her mouth like prayer. If she did, she didn't care. Eli called, she said one Saturday, casual, while folding towels on the couch. He might swing by next weekend. I looked up from my phone. Oh. Yeah, she said, barely glancing at me. He wants to borrow your camping gear. My gear. Something about a trip. I didn't get the details. I nodded. She went back to folding. White towel. Blue towel. Her fingers precise, practiced. I watched them like they were lying too. That same day, I started syncing backups of our home devices. The baby monitor had audio storage capabilities, something I'd never needed until now. I copied files to a private folder on my work laptop. I pulled metadata from our Nest cameras. There was a 3-hour blackout 2 weeks ago. Just enough time for a visit. Just enough for Eli. It wasn't hard to imagine how it started. He probably came over when I was on call. Mara always liked to keep family close. And Eli knew how to test limits, how to hover at the line until it blurred. I pictured him leaning on our kitchen counter, tossing some self-deprecating joke, watching her laugh. I knew that laugh. She used to save it for me. Now she handed it out like napkins. I didn't confront him either. Not yet. Eli was good at flipping things. Making you feel like the paranoid one. The dramatic one. I needed to be careful. I needed to let them build the case against themselves. That night, I left for a fake overnight shift. I kissed Mara goodbye, watched her eyes pretend to miss me, then circled the block and parked 2 streets over. At 10:42 p.m., I saw his truck pull into our driveway. Headlights off. She met him at the door. No hesitation. No looking around. I didn't get out of the car. I didn't need to. I already had what I came for. What kind of woman opens the door for your brother in her sleepwear? What kind of brother walks through it? The next morning, Mara asked if I'd slept at the hospital. I said yes. She smiled and said, "I missed you." I smiled back. And I believed her. Because now, I knew how easy it was for her to lie. I started noticing small things. Not the kind that scream, but the kind that whisper when you're quiet enough to listen. Like how Mara changed the bedsheets more often, sometimes twice a week. Or how she'd startle when the doorbell rang, glancing at her phone like there was a second script she needed to remember. She stopped wearing the necklace I gave her for our 3rd anniversary. Said it tangled too easily. But I'd seen it on her in old photos with Eli, backyard barbecues, family dinners. She didn't untangle it then. The towels in the guest bathroom started smelling like her perfume. I asked about it once. "Oh, I just folded them in our room," she said. Too fast. Like the line had already been rehearsed. I nodded. She had answers. Too ready. Too clean. One night, while she was in the shower, I walked into the kitchen and opened the junk drawer, the one we both used to hide things we didn't want to deal with. There, buried under expired coupons and a dead battery pack, I found a receipt. Gas station. 11:56 p.m. A weeknight. On the other side of town. $20 of fuel and 2 packs of mints. She doesn't drive late. She doesn't chew mints. But Eli does. Always has. The receipt went into my wallet. Next to the family photo we took last Christmas. I don't know why I kept that picture. Maybe as a marker. Before. She came out of the shower in her robe, toweling her hair like nothing was broken. "You okay?" she asked, seeing me at the kitchen table. "Just thinking," I said. "About what?" I smiled. "House stuff." She kissed my cheek. Her skin smelled like eucalyptus and someone else's hands. I didn't flinch. I didn't move. The next morning, I called Eli. "Hey," I said. "Thinking of doing a little guy's trip. You in?" He paused. Yeah, sure." "When?" "Couple weekends." "You free?" "Yeah." Sounds good. He asked nothing. That was telling. I wasn't planning a trip. I was planning a measurement. A pressure test. I wanted to see if Mara would flinch when I told her Eli and I were heading to the lake. Just the two of us. The place where we fished as kids. The one spot neither of them could follow me. That night, I told her. Her fork paused midair. Oh. Just the two of you? Yeah, I said. Need to catch up. She nodded too quickly. That's nice. Something wrong? No. Just surprised. You know, you and Eli haven't really done that in a while. Her voice tried to sound casual. But her eyes said something else. Fear. Good. The next day, she booked a hair appointment. The day after that, she started going to the gym again. And 3 days later, she changed her phone password. That one stung. She never had one before. Now, she did. And now, I knew, whatever she was protecting wasn't just a fling. It was something she thought was worth hiding from the father of her child. Her husband. Her son's uncle. My brother. And maybe, just maybe, herself. The phone password was 4 digits. Nothing fancy. But it said more than she ever would out loud. The first night I noticed it, Mara left her phone charging in the living room. I waited until she fell asleep, then picked it up. Locked. I tried our son's birthday. My birthday. Our anniversary. Nothing. Then I tried Eli's. Unlocked. The sick part wasn't that she used it. The sick part was that I knew to try it. I didn't open messages. Not yet. I didn't want to alert any apps, leave any trails. I just needed to know I could. Power isn't always in the act, sometimes it's in the potential. I locked it again. Placed it back exactly how I found it. Charger angle, screen side up, 2% off center. She wouldn't notice. But I would. The next morning, Mara made pancakes. From scratch. Said she felt like spoiling her boys. I watched her flip batter like nothing was fractured. Her robe hung looser than usual. No necklace. Hair in a bun. No lipstick. She looked domestic. She looked dangerous. Later that day, Eli texted me. Still good for next weekend? Absolutely, I replied. He added a thumbs up. No smiley face. No brotherly joke. Just the bare minimum. Mara, that evening, asked what I wanted from the store. Said she was planning a big dinner Sunday. Lasagna. Garlic bread. Wine. It was the same dinner she made the first night she told me she was pregnant. Pattern. Symbol. Echo. She was trying to fix something. Or bury it under sentiment. That night, she climbed into bed next to me like nothing had changed. Put her hand on my chest. Said, "You've been so quiet lately." "Just tired," I said. "Is everything okay?" She was asking too late. But I gave her what she wanted. Yeah. She smiled. Kissed my shoulder. Turned away. I stayed awake, watching the numbers on the alarm clock slide toward morning. Friday came. I left for the trip. Duffel bag packed with nothing but running shoes, 3 t-shirts, and a burner phone. Drove to a motel an hour out of town and checked in under a fake name, something Eli taught me back when we were teenagers trying to sneak into bars. I waited. At 9:16 p.m., I got the alert from the Nest Cam. Motion detected in the living room. At 9:18, the bedroom. At 9:21, the audio clicked on from the monitor feed I'd rerouted to my laptop. Her voice. Soft. Nervous. Hopeful. "Did anyone see you?" Eli. "No one." A pause. Clothes shifting. A kiss I didn't want to hear. She laughed. Whispered, "You missed me." He didn't answer. I closed the laptop. Not because it hurt. But because now I knew she wasn't scared. She felt safe. That was her mistake. I spent Saturday collecting. Not rage. Not grief. Just evidence. I started with the synced cloud backups. The Nestcam clips had timestamps, motion tracks, even partial audio if you listened hard enough. Her laugh in the hallway. His voice low, dismissive. I stitched it all together like a surgeon working blind, quiet hands, cold mind. Then came the phone. Sunday night, she left it charging again, same spot. I waited until she was brushing her teeth, then moved with precision. Entered Eli's birthday. Unlocked. Messages weren't under his real name. They were hidden beneath a contact labeled Nora, PTA. Clever, if you didn't know she hated school politics. First message. You taste like cinnamon tonight. Another. Next time, tell him you're going to yoga. I'll bring wine. And then. I miss you when he's home. I wish it was always just us. My hands didn't shake. I didn't scroll with urgency. I took screenshots. Sent them to the burner. Deleted no trace. Closed the app. Locked the phone. Put it back. She came into the room drying her face with a towel. You going to bed? Soon. She kissed my forehead. I didn't move. Monday morning, I met with a lawyer. Not mine, hers. Or rather, the one she had quietly contacted 2 months ago. She hadn't filed yet. But she'd made the call. Left a message about possible options. The firm confirmed that no retainer had been paid. That meant I was still ahead. I hired someone better. By Tuesday, we had a full snapshot, texts, photos, entry logs, IP history, synced calendars. She was meticulous, just not for me. She had an ovulation tracker. Hadn't used it in over a year. But last week, it was back. That detail broke something in me I didn't even realize was left. She wasn't just cheating. She was preparing. To build a future with him. With Eli. Possibly with another child. I looked at our son that night, asleep in his crib, his small hand curled around a stuffed elephant. He had my eyes. Mara's smile. Eli's name would never touch him. I made sure of that. I updated my will. Changed the custody structure. Removed her as medical proxy. Told my lawyer to draw up emergency guardianship papers. In case. Not because I feared for my life. But because I was done reacting. I was preparing too. Wednesday, Eli texted again. Let's grab a beer this weekend. Just us. The arrogance of it landed like rust in my mouth. He thought I didn't know. Thought I was still the older brother who bailed him out of fights, loaned him cash, lied to mom about the broken window. I replied, sounds good. Let's talk. He had no idea I already had everything I needed. No outbursts. No accusations. Just data. Just timeline. Just proof. And when it all landed, it would land hard. But not on me. I wasn't the one standing on someone else's marriage. I was just the one who finally stepped aside and let gravity do its job. Friday morning, I stood in front of the mirror and shaved with precision. Not because I cared how I looked. Because control starts with small things. Mara was already up, packing snacks for our son's daycare. She smiled when I walked into the kitchen, kissed my cheek, offered me toast like a wife playing house. You seen Eli this weekend? She asked, voice casual. I nodded. Tomorrow. Just the two of us. She tried not to react, but her hand tightened slightly around the butter knife. It wasn't fear anymore. It was calculation. I could see her mind moving behind her eyes, trying to gauge what I knew, if anything. She was preparing a fallback story. Good. Let her build it. That afternoon, I visited a private notary. Had them witness a prepared affidavit, timestamps, footage list, message archive. Bound in a simple black folder. A second copy went to my lawyer. A third stayed in a locked drawer at the hospital, under a name only I would recognize. I wasn't preparing for a courtroom. I was preparing for fallout. At 4:15 p.m., I called Eli. He didn't answer. At 4:17, he texted, "Can't talk now." "What's up? Let's make it Sunday instead. Something I need to finish first." He didn't question it. Of course he didn't. Guilt makes cowards quiet. That night, Mara came into our bedroom in lingerie I hadn't seen since before the baby. She slipped into bed, curled against me like the years hadn't passed, like nothing had burned. I didn't move. She placed her hand on my chest. "I feel like we're reconnecting." I said nothing. She waited. Then whispered, "Do you still love me?" I looked at the ceiling. Why wouldn't I? That was the answer she needed. Not truth, reassurance. She fell asleep fast. As if the lie itself wore her out. I stayed awake, counting the breaths between us. Saturday. The final detail. While Mara was at her supposed book club, I printed 2 framed photos, identical except for one small change. One was our last family photo, me, Mara, and our son at the lake, smiling like nothing was rotten. The second was the same photo, digitally altered, Eli, standing behind Mara, his hand not on my son's shoulder, but resting on her lower back. The symbolism wasn't subtle. It wasn't supposed to be. I placed them side by side in the study. Waited. She came home at 6:42 p.m. I was sitting in the armchair, reading. "Hey," she said, voice light. "How was your day?" "Productive." She walked past the doorway, then stopped. Her eyes landed on the 2 frames. She stared for 3 seconds too long. Then asked, "What's this?" "Just something I had made." She laughed, lightly. "The second one's weird." "Yeah," I said. "I thought so too." She didn't touch it. Didn't move closer. Just stood still, measuring the air. I closed the book. "Did Eli ever tell you what my father did for a living?" She blinked. "What?" "He was an engineer. Taught me how to build things. Pause. And how to break them quietly." I stood, walked past her, and turned off the hallway light. She didn't speak. She knew the line had shifted. The next part wouldn't be noise. Wouldn't be a fight. Wouldn't be begging. The next part would be surgical. And she wouldn't see it coming. Sunday morning, I made coffee. Not for her. For me. I watched the pot fill while Mara moved around the kitchen, too careful. Too polite. She offered to cook breakfast, asked if I wanted eggs, bacon, toast, listing options like a waitress in a life she hadn't earned. "I'm good," I said. She hesitated, then busied herself with dishes that didn't need cleaning. At 10:03 a.m., I got a text from Eli. "Still meeting." I responded with an address, the old factory near the rail lines, the one we explored as kids. Neutral ground. Isolated. Symbolic. He replied with a thumbs up. Of course he did. He arrived at 10:34. Same truck. Same smirk. "Man," he said, stepping out, arms open. "Long time, huh?" I didn't hug him. I didn't even nod. I just looked at him. His smile faltered. "You all right?" I handed him an envelope. "What's this?" "Timeline. Names. Messages. Audio. Video." He opened it, scanned a page, blinked. Don't," I said. "Not yet." He looked around like someone might be watching. "Mark, listen." I shook my head. "I don't want the story. I want silence." He started to say something else, but I cut him off. "You came into my house. You touched my wife. You stood over my son." He stepped back. "I didn't." "You did." His jaw flexed. "It just happened. We didn't mean to." "That makes it worse." He looked down. "What do you want?" I pulled a second envelope from my coat pocket. "You're going to sign a statement. Admitting to the affair. Confirming the dates. Declaring that Mara manipulated the dynamic. That she misled you." His eyes widened. "Wait, what?" You're flipping this on her. She built this lie with you. You'll help me end it. And if I don't? I looked him in the eye. Then every file in that envelope goes to your wife. Her parents. Your employer. Child services. He went still. You're not the only one with something to lose, Eli. He looked down at the paper. Then back at me. You're serious. I'm done being reasonable. I handed him a pen. He signed. When I returned home, Mara was on the couch. Reading. Or pretending to. Everything okay? She asked. Yeah, I said. Just needed some closure. She smiled, relieved. That's good. I placed a single sheet of paper on the table in front of her. She looked at it. Read the header. Affidavit of Adultery and Manipulation, Eli Thomas Monroe. Her breath caught. Where did you? I sat across from her. I told you I was reconnecting. She stood, panic blooming. This isn't what you think. It's exactly what I think. Her mouth opened. Closed. She looked like she wanted to scream. But there was no scene left to make. No room for performance. I had the footage. The texts. The timeline. The confession. She had nothing. Mark, she said quietly, I'm sorry. I nodded. You will be. She reached for the document. I pulled it back. This doesn't belong to you anymore. Monday morning, I filed for divorce. No warning. No conversation. Just paperwork, notarized and delivered. The process server handed Mara the envelope at her workplace, a crowded elementary school lobby at 8:47 a.m., just as the morning bell rang. I had timed it that way. She called me 20 minutes later. I didn't answer. By noon, she was texting. Can we talk? Please. I didn't respond. That evening, I arrived home precisely at 6 o'clock. She was already there, sitting at the kitchen table, her face pale, her hair pulled tight like it could hold her together. You blindsided me, she said, her voice barely holding. No, I said. I just stopped giving you a head start. She stood up, her hands trembling. You're destroying everything. No. You destroyed it. I'm just filing the paperwork. She started crying. Real tears, maybe. Or maybe just delayed strategy. I can't lose my son. You already did, I said. You just didn't notice. She walked toward me, slow, like I was someone she could still reach. Mark, please. I stepped back. Not out of fear. Out of disgust. Don't. I placed another document on the table, a custody agreement pre-signed by the judge. Temporary, pending final ruling. My lawyer had pushed it through based on risk of destabilizing environment. Eli's admission helped. So did the footage. And the therapist report. She sat back down. I'll fight this, she whispered. I nodded. That's your right. But you'll lose, I added. Eli called that night. Voicemail. Man, I don't know what else you want from me. I did what you said. I signed. I'm not seeing her. I've got kids too, all right. I deleted the message. Tuesday morning, I left an envelope on the dining table. Inside, a breakdown of shared accounts, keys to the apartment, list of items already packed. When Mara got home, she found me waiting by the door. I've rented a place, I said. You'll stay here until the divorce is final. Our son stays with me. You'll have visitation, supervised, for now. She didn't yell. Didn't scream. She just looked like she finally saw the cliff edge beneath her feet. I thought we could fix it, she said, eyes searching. I shook my head. You fixed it. Just not with me. Thursday, she went to her sister's. Friday, Eli moved out of his house. His wife had seen the screenshots. By Sunday, I changed every password, closed every joint account, and removed her name from every record I legally could. No fights. No scenes. Just silence. Just precision. The apartment felt different without her. Not better. Not worse. Just quieter. Cleaner. Honest. I didn't replace the photos. I didn't repaint the walls. I left everything exactly where it was, like an exhibit. A reminder of what happens when you ignore the hairline cracks. My son adjusted faster than I expected. Kids are like that, resilient without realizing it. He stopped asking where she was after the second week. I didn't lie. I didn't poison him with details. I just told him the truth in a way he could carry. Mommy needed to live somewhere else for a while. He nodded, then asked for cereal. That's when I knew we'd be okay. Mara called once a week. Her voice changed every time. First apologetic. Then angry. Then empty. Like she was trying on different versions of herself, hoping one would get through. None did. I answered only once. She asked if I would ever forgive her. I said, forgiveness isn't the same as forgetting. She went quiet. Then said, I miss who we were. I said, I don't. Call ended. Eli stopped trying. I heard he moved to Ohio. Took a job in some warehouse. His wife filed 2 days after mine. No custody battle, she had proof. He didn't fight it. He never apologized. Good. I didn't want the words. I wanted the distance. 6 months passed. Divorce finalized. Custody granted. I kept the apartment, sold the car, shifted to part-time at the hospital. Started walking more. Reading again. Wrote things down. Quiet things. Sharp things. I kept them in a notebook labeled only with the date she said his name in our bed. Some nights I sat on the edge of my son's bed, watching him sleep. Not to check if he was okay, I knew he was. I just wanted to remember what peace sounded like. The last message Mara ever sent was one sentence. Do you ever think about what we had? I read it once. Deleted it. Blocked the number. There was no ceremony. No grand goodbye. Just a man walking forward, one step at a time, in a world that had stopped lying to him. She moaned my brother's name while I put our son to sleep. Now, I sleep fine. And she has to live with the echo.